Far away in the cold darkness of space, a fleet of alien ships moved slowly toward a small blue planet. The aliens inside these ships were watching the planet closely. They were from a powerful race that ruled many stars. They thought this planet and its people would be easy to conquer. The aliens looked at Earth and saw humans moving on the surface. To them, humans seemed weak. Their bodies were soft, and their machines were not very advanced. Aliens had huge weapons and strong armor. They expected the humans to run away or give up without a fight. But the aliens did not know humans well. On Earth, humans prepared for battle. Soldiers put on their armor and checked their weapons. They talked quietly, but their eyes showed something. Strange, not fear, but courage. The commanders gave orders, and the soldiers listened carefully. They knew the coming fight would be very hard. Many of them might not survive. But they did not feel scared. The leaders told their people stories about bravery and hope. They said humans had something special inside, a heart that never gave up. The humans believed in this. They believed in their strength and in their will to protect their home. The aliens watched and whispered, "Why do these weak creatures not run?" one commander asked. Another said, "It is strange. They look scared but move forward." It is not like other races we fought. The alien ships started to open their weapons. They fired bright beams at the ground. Buildings exploded, trees burned, but humans did not stop. They charged toward the alien machines with their guns and strange tools. The humans were not the strongest or the fastest. Their weapons were smaller and slower, but their eyes burned with fire. Their hands held their weapons tightly, and their voices shouted in anger and hope. The aliens were shocked. They had never seen this before. Other races gave up when the aliens attacked. Humans fought back with a power the aliens could not understand. It was more than machines or weapons. It was spirit, the desire to protect family, friends, and the planet they loved. In one small village, a man stood on a hill and watched the battle. He was not a soldier, but he had a sword in his hand. His face was dirty, and his clothes were torn. Still, he smiled. He knew his people were fighting not just for survival, but for something bigger, for freedom and for hope. The alien ships moved closer and fired again. Many humans fell. Some screamed, but others took their places. They helped their wounded friends and kept fighting. The young soldiers looked at the sky and made a silent promise. No matter what happened, they would not stop. They would protect their home. The aliens whispered again, "These humans are strange. They do not fear death. They do not run. They fight with hearts full of fire." The battle was only beginning. The stars looked down quietly, waiting to see what would happen next. The battle on Earth grew stronger every day. The aliens sent more ships and weapons to fight the humans. Their powerful beams destroyed many places. The ground shook, and the sky was filled with smoke. But humans did not give up. They kept fighting with all their might. Among the humans, there was a young woman named Mira. She was not a soldier by birth, but she had learned fast. She could fix machines that others thought were broken forever, even when the bombs fell around. Her Mira worked calmly and helped her friends keep their weapons alive. Mira's hands moved quickly and carefully. She fixed guns, repaired broken vehicles, and made shields stronger. The soldiers trusted her because she never stopped trying, even when things were hard. The aliens watched Mira with surprise. "How can one small human do so much?" they whispered. They had never seen such skill and courage in one person. Around Mira, the battle raged on. Soldiers ran through ruined buildings, dodging lasers and blasts. Some fell, but their friends helped them stand up again. The humans shared water and food, even in the middle of the fight. They helped each other like a single family. The alien commanders grew worried. Their strong weapons could not stop the human spirit. They ordered bigger machines to come down from the ships. Huge robots with heavy guns stepped on the ground. The aliens thought these machines would scare the humans away, but the humans were ready. With Myra's help, soldiers used the land smartly. They set traps with ropes and old explosives. They hid behind broken walls and trees. The robots were big and slow. The humans used their speed and knowledge of the land to fight back. Mira moved quickly between soldiers, fixing weapons and giving hope. She never gave up, even when a robot's laser beam hit close. Her eyes showed fire. She shouted, "We fight not just for today, but for our future. Keep going." The soldiers heard her words and felt stronger. They fought harder. They worked together, not as many, but as one strong group. The aliens saw this and felt fear. They had never faced an enemy so determined. They could destroy buildings and forests, but they could not destroy the hope in humans' hearts. One alien commander said, "These humans do not just fight. They live for their homes and for each other. This is strange. This is dangerous." The middle of the battle, a small group of humans protected children and old people. They made a safe place where no fighting was allowed. Myra helped here too. She brought medicine and food, risking her life. The aliens saw this kindness and did not understand. To them, war was only about power and control. But humans had something else. They had love. Love for family, friends, and even strangers. As the sun set, the battle slowed. Humans gathered around fires, resting and healing. Myra sat with her team, tired but happy. She knew the fight was not over, but she also knew humans had something stronger than any weapon, their spirit. The aliens watched the planet from space, feeling a strange fear. They whispered among themselves, "How can such weak creatures be so strong? How can they face death without fear?" The stars shone above, silent and bright. The battle was not over, but one thing was clear. Humans were not like any enemy. The aliens had seen before. They were warriors, were survivors. They were something new and powerful. The war continued. Days turned into nights and nights into long, painful mornings. The sky above Earth was no longer blue. It was filled with black smoke, fire, and the flashing lights of alien weapons. But still, the humans stood strong. The aliens kept sending more troops, flying beasts, mechanical walkers, and energy drones. They believed numbers and technology would finally crush human resistance. Other commanders laughed in their ships. "They can't fight forever," they said, but they didn't understand humans. In the middle of the ruined city, Mira kept moving with her team. Her boots were torn, and her face was covered in dust, but her eyes still glowed with courage. The people around her were tired, some injured, some afraid, but no one quit. They had seen their homes destroyed. They had lost friends. They had nothing left except each other. Mira stopped near a broken building, a young soldier beside her was crying silently. His brother had died that morning. Mira put a hand on his shoulder and said softly, "He fought for us. Now we fight for him." The soldier wiped his tears and stood. "Yes, we fight for all of them. That's how humans were." When one fell, another stood up. They carried the weight of their pain and turned it into strength. Across the battle zone, humans began to build traps using old cars, broken wires. In scrap metal, they hid bombs under the ground. They drew maps by hand. They moved like shadows through the ruins, always watching, always learning. The aliens had never fought like this before. They didn't understand what made humans keep going. They had crushed many civilizations in the past, but this one was different. It didn't just fight. It believed. Inside one alien command ship, a young alien soldier watched a screen showing the battle. He saw Mira helping a child escape a burning building, saw human soldiers carry their wounded, even under heavy fire. He turned to his superior. "Why do they do this?" "They are outnumbered," Commander answered coldly. "Because they are foolish." But the young alien wasn't so sure. Back on the ground, Mira's team found a group of civilians hiding in a subway tunnel. There were mothers, old people, even newborn babies. They were hungry and scared. "We won't leave you," Mira told them. "We'll protect you, all of you." That night, her team built a defense around the tunnel entrance. They barely slept. Every few hours, an alien drone flew overhead, but the humans stayed quiet, ready. In the morning, the aliens launched a surprise attack. Drones came from the sky. Soldiers marched from the north. Huge machines rolled over streets, but they didn't expect the humans to be waiting. The traps exploded. Walls of fire rose. Mira and her team fought with everything they had. Even the civilians helped, throwing stones, carrying supplies, passing messages. The humans didn't run. They didn't hide. They stood like giants. In the end, the aliens pulled back, losing more than they expected. One alien pilot looked down at the earth and whispered, "What kind of monsters are these?" They were not monsters. They were just human. And as the dust settled, Mira sat on the ground, breathing hard. She looked at the sun rise through the smoke and said, "We're still here, always going to be here." And far above, in the cold of space, the alien commanders felt something they hadn't felt in a long time. Fear. The war was changing, and so were the people fighting it. What began as fear had now become strength. Every human, from young to old, had become part of the fight. Soldiers, doctors, builders, and farmers, they were all working together now. Cities were broken, but the human spirit was unbroken. Even in places where the ground burned and the air was full of smoke, people helped each other. They shared food, water, and stories. Small shelters, children laughed again. Hope was returning. Even during war, Mira and her team moved from one destroyed city to another. Wherever help was needed, they went. She had become more than a soldier. She was now a leader. People followed her not because of orders, but because of trust. One day, Myra and her group reached a mountain base where a group of engineers had created a new weapon. It was not big or flashy, but it was smart. The humans had built it using old machines and alien parts they had taken from the battlefield. The weapon was called Hammerlight, and it could shut down alien tech in a wide area. "We don't have much," one engineer said, "but we use what we have." Mira smiled. That's the human way. The aliens, high above Earth in their black metal ships, were growing nervous. Their weapons were not working like before. Their soldiers were tired. Their machines were breaking down. And worst of all, some of their own people had started asking questions. Inside one of the alien ships, a young alien named Kareth watched recordings of human fighters. He saw them carry the wounded, saw them sing songs even during battle, saw Mira lead her team through fire just to save a group of children. Kareth was confused. "We destroy planets," he said to his superior, "but they save each other. They fight even when they have nothing," his superior growled. "Do not let their weakness fool you." But Kareth didn't see weakness. He saw something different. Something strong. On the ground, Mira and her team prepared for the next wave. The sky was glowing red again. More alien ships were coming. Everyone knew the final attack was near. But this time, humans were not just waiting to defend. They had a plan, using the Hammerlight weapon. They would strike the main alien control base in the mountains. If they succeeded, the aliens would lose their communications, and most of their machines would shut down. It was risky. It would have to cross open ground full of enemy patrols. But Mira looked at her team and said, "We've come this far. We don't stop now." They moved through the night, silent, focused. Every step was dangerous, but they kept moving. Along the way, they met a surprise, a group of aliens hiding in an old barn. They raised their hands and said in broken English, We don't want war. We want peace." They were defectors, aliens who had seen the strength of humans and changed sides. Mira didn't trust them fully, but she didn't kill them either. "If you help us," she said, "then prove it." The alien group shared maps and codes. They showed secret paths and helped avoid traps. Myra was surprised. Maybe, just maybe, this war could end differently. By morning, the team reached the mountain base. They looked up at the alien towers standing tall above the earth. Mira placed her hand on the Hammerlight device. She took a deep breath. "This is for Earth," she whispered, and then she pressed the button. A wave of blue light spread across the sky and the alien ships above. Lights flickered. Screens went dark. Weapons stopped working. And for the first time since the war began, The humans saw the enemy hesitate. The blue wave from the hammer-light device spread like magic across the battlefield. Alien machines that once roared with fire suddenly went silent. Giant war walkers froze mid-step. Drones crashed into the ground like broken toys. The sky, once filled with deadly alien lights, became quiet. For the first time in weeks, the battlefield was still. Mira stood at the edge of the mountain base, watching the effect. Her team couldn't believe it. Some laughed, some cried. Others dropped to their knees, thanking the stars. The device had worked. It hit the alien heart and it had stopped beating. But Mira didn't smile. She knew it wasn't over yet. "Get ready," she said, her voice calm but serious. This is when they hit the hardest. She was right. The alien commanders were shocked. Their systems were failing. Communications were lost. Thousands of machines shut down. But they still had soldiers, real ones, not robots. And those soldiers were angry. They sent ground troops taller, faster, stronger than humans. These aliens did not rely on machines. They were trained to kill, and now they were coming fast. Mira looked at her tired team. "This is our moment," she said. "If we fall back now, they'll return stronger. But if we stand, we break them." The humans dug in. They had no advanced weapons left, only bullets, blades, and bombs made from scrap. But their hearts were stronger than ever. As the alien army came closer, a strange thing happened. The alien defectors, those who had helped Mira earlier, stood beside the humans. One of them, Kareth, picked up a human-made weapon and said, "We fight with you." Mira nodded. "Then fight like us." The battle that followed was fierce and bloody. Humans fought from behind walls, inside ruined trucks, and even from tree branches. They used everything around them. The alien soldiers were fast and deadly, but they didn't understand human madness, how humans could turn a broken pipe into a spear or a car battery into a trap. Mira moved like a shadow, fixing weapons and pulling injured friends to safety. She led by example, never hiding, never giving up. Kareth followed her, watching and learning. "You're not like us," he said during a pause. Mira answered without looking. "No, we're human." And then she ran back into the fire. Everywhere on Earth, similar battles were happening. The alien tech went dark. Humans rose up. Farmers threw rocks. Children hid radio parts to jam enemy signals. Old men set traps. Everyone was part of the war now. The alien commanders watched helplessly. Their greatest machines were now silent statues. Their soldiers were falling. Their empire, which had never lost a war, was now losing to a planet they once called weak. Alien leader whispered, "They don't fight with strength, they fight with soul." By sunset, the last wave of alien soldiers at the mountain base had fallen. The humans stood over their fallen enemies, breathing hard, wounded, but alive. Mira looked at the battlefield. Her team was battered. Some had died. But Earth still stood. "We held the line," she said. "We showed them who we are." Kareth limped beside her. "They will return," he said. Mira nodded. "Then we'll be ready, 'cause now they know us." That night, for the first time in a long while, the stars shined without smoke. Fires burned low, and people sat around them, eating whatever they could find, telling stories, remembering names of the fallen. The aliens had watched humans with horror. Now, they watched with fear and respect. The smoke from the last battle still hung in the air, but the silence felt new, almost peaceful. For the first time since the war had started, Earth had pushed the aliens back. Their strongest machines were gone. Their weapons were silent, but the war was not finished. In deep space, the alien High Council gathered inside a cold, black room. Angry voices filled the air. They had ruled for centuries. No planet had ever stood against them for long, until now. "Humans are dangerous," one alien said. "They are wild," said another. "They fight with madness, not order." One of the elder commanders stood and slammed his hand on the table. "They are not to be underestimated. Their strength is not in machines, it's in their hearts." Still, many aliens refused to believe it. They planned one final attack. One last massive invasion to crush human spirit forever. Back on Earth, Myra was resting in a damaged shelter. Her arm was injured, and her face showed deep tiredness, but her eyes were still full of fire. Around her, soldiers patched their gear, engineers fixed broken radios, children played with rocks, pretending to be warriors like their parents. People were rebuilding not just homes, but hope. Kareth, the alien defector, sat beside Myra. He was no longer just a visitor. He had chosen Earth's side. He wore human armor now, though it didn't fit him perfectly. "You know they are coming." "Back," Kareth said. Myra looked up. "Yes, I know. This time, they'll bring everything. No mercy." She nodded. "Then we show them again why they should fear us." The next few days were spent preparing. Humans knew they couldn't fight in open fields or giant battles. So they turned their cities into traps. They built underground tunnels, secret doors in walls, and hidden snipers in old towers. Every destroyed car, every cracked wall, it all had a purpose now. Even children helped. They carried messages, watched the skies, brought tools to the fighters. The human message was clear. "We are not afraid then." The sky broke open again. From the clouds came black shapes, hundreds of them. Alien dropships filled the sky. Ground shook as the final wave of the alien empire touched down. The invasion had begun. Myra stood at the front line, holding a basic rifle, her arms still bandaged. She looked at the young men and women beside her, some just teenagers. None of them turned away. "They think we're broken," she said, "but we're just getting started." The alien forces moved fast. Their new soldiers were bigger and stronger, but again, they made the same mistake. They fought with numbers. Humans fought with purpose. As the enemy approached, the city exploded with action. Buildings lit up with gunfire. Traps triggered under the aliens' feet. Out! Drones flew from rooftops, carrying homemade bombs. Human fighters moved like ghosts in the streets. Kareth led a group of former alien soldiers who had joined the humans. They knew how their enemy thought, and now used that knowledge to turn the battle in one moment. Myra found herself face to face with an alien warlord. His armor was huge, his weapon glowing with red light. But Myra didn't step back. He growled, "You fight like animals." She stared into his eyes. "No, we fight like humans." And then she pulled the trigger. The alien fell. Across the city, humans pushed forward. For every one that fell, 2 more stood. They shouted names of their lost friends. They carried the pain like armor, and slowly, shockingly, the enemy began to fall back. The final invasion had started with fire. Now, it was ending in defeat. The final battle was over. All across the earth, smoke slowly cleared from broken buildings. In silent fields, alien ships that once ruled the skies now lay crashed and burning. The ground was covered with the marks of war, ashes, ruins, and memories. But among those ruins, humans were standing. They had done the impossible. They had won. The alien empire, once feared across galaxies, had been pushed back by a planet they thought was weak. Their machines failed. Their commanders were gone. And their spirit crushed by the will of a species they didn't understand. Myra stood on a rooftop, looking over the city. Her arm was still in a sling, and her face showed the pain of many battles. But she stood tall with her head held high. Around her, people were cheering, hugging, crying. Some were silent, remembering those who were lost. Kareth stood beside her. The former alien soldier had changed. His voice was softer, his eyes no longer full of cold logic. He looked at the humans below and said, "You should not have one. By every rule, every number, you should have lost." Myra turned to him. "We don't follow rules written by fear. We fight for love, for freedom. That's something your empire never understood." He nodded slowly. "Now we do." Far above Earth, in deep space, the alien High Council was silent. News of the loss had shaken their core. One by one, the great leaders stepped back. Their empire was broken. Not by weapons, but by something far more powerful. Human spirit. Many alien species across the stars had watched the war. Most thought the humans would be crushed. Now they watched the survivors and felt something new, respect. Some even felt hope. In hidden worlds and distant planets, they whispered, they stood when no one expected them to. They fought, not to destroy, but to protect. They were not monsters. They were human. Back on Earth, people started rebuilding. Bricks were lifted again. Streets were cleared. Schools reopened. Flags were raised, not in pride, but in memory of what they had lost and what they had kept. Children, who had hidden in bunkers, now ran in the sunlight. Old men who once thought they would die, in silence, were now planting seeds and everywhere. Stories of the war were told. Stories of the day a young mechanic named Myra led a team into the fire. Stories of farmers who became fighters. Stories of soldiers who carried hope like a weapon. These stories didn't talk much about fear or defeat. They spoke of courage, of standing side by side, of fighting for something greater than survival. One evening, Mira sat with Kareth and some other fighters near a small fire. The stars above them were quiet. "Do you think they'll come back?" someone asked. Mira looked up. Maybe. One day. And if they do, she smiled faintly. Then we remind them again this planet is not easy to break. Kareth looked at the flames. You've changed more than just Earth. Other worlds are watching now. Mira said nothing, but she felt it in her heart. This war was more than a fight for Earth. It was a message to the entire galaxy. Humans were not just survivors. They were protectors, builders, fighters with hearts of fire. The next morning, children painted a wall with bright colors. They drew suns, stars, and smiling faces. On one side, they painted a human standing next to an alien, both holding a flag. Mira walked by and stopped. She smiled, because even in a world shaped by war, the future was being built by small hands, bright colors, and big dreams. And the stars, once full of fear, now watched in quiet respect. Humanity had risen, and the galaxy would never forget.